Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. It's Xavier, and we're going to do some chart reviews for some of the picks that we talked about over the past couple of days. Market was up. We had a really good day in the market. Let's just go ahead and pull that up. In terms of the portfolio, as you can see, we're up 17K on the portfolio. We've surpassed the 70K mark. I guess for the remainder of the month, we'll push for 80K. The goal was actually to hit 100K by the end of the year. We are well past that. And so I am probably going to cap it at 100K because I do have other financial goals for the year, where I'm looking to buy some real estate abroad. And so if we can pull more money out of the market, that will give me the opportunity to perhaps buy more than 2 or 3 properties, which is my goal for 2021. Goal for 2021 was $500 in terms of passive income via dividends from this particular portfolio, as well as, of course, capital gains. But overall, this particular portfolio is designed around dividends. So currently, we're sitting just slightly over 300 a month, and of course, we want to push for at a minimum of 500. That's the goal that I set for myself for this particular portfolio. Now, we're going to start off with, like I had said in my last video, talking about dividend stocks primarily related around food, which were things like, for example, Kellogg's, ticker symbol K, KO for Coca-Cola. We were looking at Tyson on a breakout, as you can see. I was talking about this particular stock pays a little bit of a dividend, but we're looking for a little bit of diversity, a little bit of growth, and of course some dividends and returns. And so food is going to have a rise in cost. Eventually we'll see inflation into foods, but of course currently what we're experiencing are disruptions in supply chains, and that's why you're going to see food prices start to rise. And so I talked about getting Tyson, as you can see, starting to move higher on a breakout above $70. And of course, we could see Tyson go to $80 or $90. And of course, it pays a little bit of a dividend. It's not amazing, 45 cents per share. Roughly currently, it's yielding at this price. It's yielding almost 2.5%. But I've gotten in a little bit. I've got about 800 and change. I'm looking to add probably about 15 to 2,500. But overall, in terms of the food stocks that I've picked, which are typically going to be stocks like Tyson, FLO, which I already have a good position in, Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, and of course Tyson. And then I want to be adding Heinz. I believe it's ticker symbol KHC. Yeah, Kraft Heinz. This is the new one that I want you to keep on the radar. As it has been sliding, of course, because we had a very much of a bull market. And now people, of course, are switching more into value picks, right? And so people are looking more towards value, dividends. Currently, a little late to the party. I wish I had gotten this in the 20s. I did not see it, wasn't paying attention to it, but I did come across it from another forum, and I actually like the stock. Of course, they did have good earnings. As you can see, they did beat earnings by 10%. I do feel that there is a little bit more value to squeeze out of this particular play, as we are starting to see breakouts to the upside. And of course, value investors are going to start to looking for which stocks are depressed, which is why you're seeing more people get into like cruise lines, airlines, things of that nature. So this stock currently pays around 4% dividends, but what we're looking at is right here. So looking at the chart, as you can see, the stock had a little bit of a hard time breaking above 36s. It channeled for a little bit, basically retesting that 36, which became a 36 support that was previously, as you can see here, a 36 resistance that we hit multiple times. And then, of course, this would consecutively be considered a test to the downside. Now, the stock hit 39, backed off, retested 36s. And as you can see, both here, and here, and then again today, I wish I would have seen it. I wasn't watching it during the trading day. But as you can see right here, where the stock closes above 39s, and then the very next day, it retests. As you can see, it retests and closes above the previous high for this day, which are all good bullish signals, which is why I've decided I've got about 5,800 in my Webull account, and so for that particular stock I put in 2 orders I'm probably going to use up most of my buying power. Hopefully we'll get a pullback. We might not. So I put a small 10 share here at 39.50. We'll see if that gets filled tomorrow. But I've got another 50 shares down here, and then I'll probably end up with a little bit over 100 shares into the stock if we can get a little bit of a pullback. That is basically my goal, because I don't have any more buying power into my M1. I've only got $100. I could dump it in. I might just take that $100 and dump it in, just so that I have basically as much as I can squeeze into the particular play. But $100 in my M1 isn't really going to do much, but I could take the profits from here and then transfer it over to my M1 account. But really, I utilize this for like swing trading and day trading, and sometimes I'll just eat off of whatever I make in my Webull account. I used to pay bills, etc., or I'll just leave it in the account because of my job at the hospital. But this is something that I'm going to be keeping on the radar, as you can see, for quite some time, all the way back here from February of 2019. The stock had been trading below 36s, and now we're finally moving to the upside. So we could see, and maybe at minimum, we could see a retrace back to where we basically fell off, which is about a 32% return. So we could see the stock come right back up at about $48. We might see some resistance here at around 42, because that's where it previously bounced. So typically investors would be a bit more cautious coming to points where basically they might perceive it be an area of resistance. So keep crafts on your radar. I think there's a lot of room for upside. So this is not something that I'm going to sleep on. I did miss it. I wish I had paid attention to it, but I will be keeping an eye on this stock, particularly tomorrow and over the next trading days. If we get pullbacks, I'll use the opportunity to buy some more. And of course, I know 36 is my support. So I've got about between 8 and 10% with the, of course, the ability to earn, let's say maybe we will shoot for 40%. But if this stock were actually to retrace, we have quite a bit of wiggle room, where we can see the stock basically trade much higher. The other position that I'm going to talk about, so we'll look over here. So this is my P&L for today on my Webull account. As you can see, I did talk about TNK, which is what we're going to go over again today. I did take a little bit of a bigger position in the SQQQs, which is basically the inverse of the NASDAQ. So if the NASDAQ starts to go down, the SQQQs will start to go up, which I believe the NASDAQ will draw down, which is why I've taken a position there going along that particular ETF. So if the market starts to go down, that will basically is my hedge. It's basically my hedge for sort of a tech position. I also have a small position in my Webull account as well. I mean, in my M1, I am short fuel cell. I wish I would have gotten a little bit higher. I should have been much more patient. I was waiting for those 18s, but I jumped the gun and I got in. My average price is 16.30, and I actually shorted a little bit more on the gap up, but just a couple of shares. I didn't have enough until I sold some TNK. But we're gonna look at TNK. I have a remaining 90 shares, and I had talked about this one, which is one of the tanker companies. And we were up 13% today, so I was happy about that. I'm long from 13.16, and so I ended up selling a little bit here at 15s. So we took about a little less than $2 on that. We might see some resistance here at 16. We do have a bit. I'm just basically going to let the remaining 90 shares or so ride, and I'll just hold my support will basically be 14. So as long as we don't retest 14s, that'll basically be my stop, as the stock could trace higher. I don't know. I'll have to wait and see how it goes moving forward, but I wanted to take some of those profits and then take some of those profits off the table and then utilize them for another company like Heinz. This is not exactly a stock. This is more a little bit like a situational plays where the stock will move but then obviously sell off. It's more of a situational cyclical play, which is why I'm getting into it. And basically, as you can see, like I said, I was long 220 shares, and I sold out of a little bit. Let's just take a look. You can see where I sold on my TNK right here. I sold 10 here at 82. Another 10 here at 85, and then another 10 here at 15, and then I had sold 100 right here at 14.50. So all in all, I sold out of let's see, that's 100, another 130, right? So we sold out of, well, yeah, so I had about 220 shares. So the remaining, and that was just basically so that I have a little bit of a cushion to the downside with the stop out at 14. So we'll see how much further this particular play is going to go. It's a very light float, so it doesn't take too much to actually cause the stock to move to the upside. So you can see that in the chart over here. It is a particularly light. You can see the average volume is around 600K. You can see that over here. The volume indicators over here, you can see it's about 1 million, 600, 400, etc. What do I always say is that when you want to look for upside potential is where you want to see greater than normal volume when you breach an area of resistance. And that's typically, and that's what we got here with a volume of 1 million. Your average is about 600K. So you see it's almost double the volume to the upside. Probably we'll see a little bit of a pullback, which is why sometimes it's good to take profits and then just hold off on that buying power, because maybe tomorrow we might see a little bit of a pullback. We didn't see anybody taking profits, but maybe you might, because it slowly moved up instead of gapping up. Sometimes when stocks just gap up, if the stock would have gapped up $2, then you would have more likely seen people taking profits, but instead we really didn't gap up all that much. As you can see, the open was 13.43, so we basically traded and drifted higher, which is why you didn't see a lot of selling at the for this particular stock. Usually when they gap up, people will take profits. So if we do see a gap up tomorrow, we might see people start to take profits, which is why when you see that, I typically take a little bit off the table. You'll see the stock starts to pull back. If it holds an area of support, whether it's 14.50, then you reallocate that money back into the position so that you've basically, I've sold it at 15 and then I rebuy it back maybe like at 14.50 if I do see a pullback, or if the stock gaps up and then trades back down to 15 and hold, then I redeploy my buying power to buy it back at 15 and then watch it drift up the next day. That's basically that play. I'll be keeping an eye on this. I also talked about Wells Fargo in my last video. I said that Wells Fargo was basically channeling here between 36 and 38. And I said yesterday that if Wells Fargo closed above 38, that I was going to add more to the stock. Now I have it in my Webull. I have it in my M1 under my risk. You can see that right here. You can see my Wells Fargo. Let's go to all. So you can see that right here. We've got almost about a 5,000 value. We're up 1,600 so far in this particular move. But I did want to buy a little bit more of it in my Webull account, and I didn't have any more buying power that I wanted to deploy because I just wanted it for a short-term move. So I ended up buying 120 shares. I'm long at 37. Where are we? 37.94. Right. I had 120 shares. And I sold a little bit of it today. I always like to take a little bit of profits. I might have taken profits a little bit early, but you can see, where is it? Wells Fargo right here. So I sold at 39.50. So it took a little bit over $1.60. I take some of the profits off. It makes me feel a little bit more comfortable knowing I've locked in some money, and then I can let basically the rest ride instead of, maybe if the stock gaps down tomorrow, you never know what's going to happen in the market. So sometimes it's good to pull some of that, pull some of those profits out. Maybe it'll keep trading higher. I don't know. But I do like to take a little bit of money when I start to see big moves. I like to sell into strength instead of selling on the way down. I don't feel that that is a good habit as a trader, to start to learn to sell on the way down. Because it brings more of a fearful emotion when you see your stocks pull back. My mindset is to buy, and so I don't like to change that. I don't like to change that mindset by selling when stocks pull back. I want to buy when stocks pull back, and I want to be in the mindset of selling as my stocks are trading higher. So that I basically piece out of my positions. Maybe I'll sell a quarter or a third, and I'll basically piece out on the way up with perhaps either a trailing stop, or I'll utilize the previous resistance as my support. I think that's basically it. I still have a couple of shares. I did sell short a little bit of Apple, as I do think the market is going to come down like I said, with a fuel cell, same thing with QQQs. I am long a little bit of JetBlue, nothing too big. Waiting, really going to see what's going to happen here. I don't think I made any other really big plays. We did see, obviously a move up to the upside in most of the market in things like Redfin, Neo, of course. But I'm looking for these stocks to come back. I'm looking to build some positions in stocks, for example, like Redfin, which I spoke of last time. Unfortunately, again, moved up to the upside. I feel more comfortable buying it down here. We saw a big move to the upside. Apple did sell off, as you can see right here. It did not hold its area of support. Same thing with the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ did the exact same thing. So 12.8 was our area of resistance. We did breach it intraday on the gap up, but then we immediately sold off, indicating, of course, weakness within the NASDAQ. And like I said, I believe interest rates are still going to rise. We got a little bit of a hype from the stimulus being passed, but I really don't think it's going to hold. It's just going to be a temporary sort of boost to the NASDAQ, but then eventually we're going to go right back to higher interest rates, because realistically speaking, there's nobody interested in buying the 10-year, and that it only pays 1.5%. 1.5% over 10 years. You're still in negative rates. And so either the Fed are going to have to step in. I don't think that they're going to do that just yet. So in my opinion, we will more likely see the 10-year start to trade higher. You can take a real quick look at the 10-year, which is right here, right? You can see for the most part, we're trading just at about that level right here. We couldn't breach, and then we finally did. We basically kind of retesting the high of about 1.152. So in my opinion, again, 1.4 is still our area of support, and I do think that the market will hold it, and that's basically where I'm going to leave this one here. I've got 250 of the SQQs. Hopefully we'll see a nice bit of a move to the upside. There was an opportunity to snag some cheap stock. As you can see, we basically bounced off the moving average, came right back up. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Don't want this video to be too long. If this is your first time here, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will check you out next time. Thank you very much for watching, and I will check you probably out probably at the end of the week, and we'll do an end of the week recap. Basically makes it a little easier to me, and then of course I'll do another video on Sunday on what stocks to look for, and what I'll be looking for the coming week. But we've got a couple more trading days, so you basically, from the very beginning, I put out the video yesterday. You can feel free to review that one on what I'll be looking for, and I'll check you out next time.